I live in Stockton, California, and this happened when I was 19 years old. I live on my dad's tragic death in a highway accident left me deeply shaken. Every night his spirit began visiting me, and I could feel his presence like a chilling breeze. As a troubled youth, I once stole his gold necklace, which held sentimental value. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't help myself. One night I had a dream. In the dream, my dad stood before me, his eyes filled with sorrow and longing. He pointed to his neck where the gold necklace used to be. I woke up with a start, my heart racing. I felt scared and guilty, but I couldn't bring myself to tell my mom about the necklace I had stolen. Strange occurrences started happening. A dark figure began to appear at my bedside, its presence overwhelming and terrifying. It never said a word, but I could sense its anger and desperation. My mom suggested it might be my dad's spirit, protecting me from harm. She believed he was watching over me, but she didn't know the truth about the stolen necklace. As the dark figure continued to haunt me, my mom decided to seek help. She hired a shaman, hoping to communicate with my dad's spirit and put an end to the unsettling visits. The shaman arrived at our home, and a sense of unease filled the air as he began his rituals. The shaman's intervention revealed a horrifying truth. The disfigured body of the dark figure that had been visiting me was my dad's, but he wasn't there to protect me. He wanted something back from me, the stolen gold necklace. The shaman could feel the anger and sadness in my dad's spirit, and he urged me to confess my secret. Tears welled up in my eyes as I finally admitted to my mom what I had done. I told her about the stolen necklace, and she was shocked. Her eyes filled with a mixture of understanding and disappointment, but she forgave me. With the truth out in the open, the shaman performed a ritual to help my dad find peace. The dark figure slowly dissipated, leaving a sense of sadness in the air. My dad's spirit had been trapped, unable to move on until he had his necklace back. It was a painful lesson, but I had learned the importance of honesty and the consequences of my actions. In the end, my dad's spirit was finally at peace, and the visits stopped. I hoped he had forgiven me, and I vowed never to steal from those I loved again. It was a terrifying and eye-opening experience that would stay with me for the rest of my life. Alone at 13, with my parents away, I made a decision that would haunt me for years. My neighbor Greg suggested a visit to the old cemetery. It seemed exciting, the thrill of breaking the rules. As we pedaled toward the looming gates, the air grew heavy, and the trees whispered their ancient secrets. Once inside, the nerves crept in, and nature's call couldn't wait. I veered off to a shadowed corner, taking a piss against a gnarled tree. But as I zipped up, a bone-chilling cry sliced through the air, freezing my heart. My breath hitched and my pulse quickened, but Greg dismissed it as my imagination. That's when the night took a wicked turn. In the dim light, I stumbled upon a neglected grave whose name had eroded over time. A sense of foreboding crept over me. The air was thick with an unseen presence. We fled, but the eeriness lingered, clinging to my skin like a cold shroud. Back home, the feeling of being watched haunted me. Whispers of someone breathing lingered near, but every glance revealed emptiness. That night, sleep was a fleeting wish. In my dreams, a haunting figure emerged from the shadows of the cemetery, proposing an unholy union. I awoke in a cold sweat, the memory searing into my mind. Days passed, and an inexplicable illness took hold. Weakness consumed me, and fear gnawed at my resolve. Desperation led me to confide in my grandma. She listened, her eyes wide with concern. Without a moment's hesitation, she called upon a shaman, a guardian against the unknown. The shaman arrived and did a ritual, which we call the Hmong jingle bell, and had an aura of ancient wisdom. Chants echoed through the house, dispelling the malevolent energy that clung to me. With each ring of the bells, the grip of the haunting presence weakened. The lesson was etched into my soul. The cemetery held powers beyond comprehension, I vowed never to return. The echoes of that chilling experience were a reminder to heed the warnings of the unseen world. The jingle of bells lingered in my mind, a beacon of protection against the darkness that lurked just beyond our reality. I live in Fresno, California. Moving into an old house was supposed to be a fresh start, but it turned into a nightmare that still haunts me. It all began after we found an ancient Ouija board tucked away in a dusty corner of the closet. Curiosity got the better of us, and we decided to play with it one evening. Little did we know that that innocent act would unleash a series of chilling events. The night when things took a terrifying turn, my wife's behavior changed dramatically. It was as if her very essence had been hijacked by some unseen force, a force claiming to be her deceased aunt. Her voice, usually warm and familiar, turned cold and distant, uttering words that sent shivers down my spine. Actions followed, things that felt impossible for her to do, knocking over furniture, writing cryptic messages, and speaking in a tongue I couldn't recognize. It was like living in a horror movie. In a panic, I called her mother, who happened to be a shaman. When she arrived, she sensed a malevolent presence. With an urgency in her eyes, she performed rituals and chanted ancient incantations, aiming to release the aunt's spirit from my wife's vulnerable body. The whole house felt charged with an otherworldly energy. Morning came, and my wife had no recollection of the night before. But what shook me to the core was the discovery that she had never left the lower floor. She had been sound asleep down there the whole time, completely oblivious to the chaotic events that unfolded upstairs. The realization struck me like lightning. Something beyond our understanding had taken place. The eerie occurrences, the possession-like behavior, it was all too real yet inexplicable. It was an intense, surreal ordeal that we couldn't rationalize or comprehend. In the end, the fear and uncertainty drove us to sell the property. I couldn't shake the feeling that the house held a darkness we could never truly escape. The experience left a mark on us, a reminder of how quickly the boundary between the known and the unknown can blur. I hope no one ever has to endure something as haunting and bewildering as that. I still get chills when I recall that eerie night in Merced, California. It was supposed to be a fun outing with friends, a weekend getaway. The events that unfolded, though, made it anything but relaxing. We checked into this seemingly normal hotel. It wasn't extravagant, but it was a place to rest. Oddly, they demanded cash despite our initial card payment. We shrugged it off, attributing it to hotel policy, and settled into our room. The parking was convenient, right in front of where we were staying, so we dropped our bags and decided to catch a quick nap before our evening plans. That's when it started. A persistent, rhythmic sound echoed from above, like someone was pacing back and forth in heels on a hard floor. It was unsettling, to say the least. We tried to ignore it at first, assuming it was a noisy guest, maybe someone preparing for an event or just restless. But as minutes turned into hours, it became maddening. We were all wide awake, grumbling about the disturbance. We debated calling the front desk to complain, but then something strange happened. The footsteps abruptly ceased, accompanied by the creak of the door upstairs. I rushed out to check, thinking it was high time to confront the source of the noise. But there was nobody in sight, no one in the corridor, no one in the rooms. The morning shed light on an even more chilling revelation. The hotel was empty, devoid of any life or sign of recent occupation. No staff, no guests, just us. To our horror, we called the non-emergency police number, and what they told us sent a shiver to our bones. The place had been abandoned for years. We were shocked to hear about the hotel where we just spent the night. Who were those individuals we interacted with during our check-in? It was inexplicable. The puzzle pieces didn't fit. We hastily gathered our belongings, not wanting to linger in that ghostly environment any longer than necessary. The sense of unease clung to us as we left, the memory of those inexplicable footsteps haunting our thoughts. Even now, I can't shake the feeling that something inexplicable was at play in that forsaken hotel. Last year, I was in the delicate stage of pregnancy, spending a quiet evening at home with my mother-in-law. The night had woven a thick blanket of darkness around our house, and the silence was interrupted only by the occasional creaks of an old house settling. Alone in the dimly lit living room, I suddenly heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps. My first instinct was to assume it was my husband returning, but something felt off. There were no accompanying lights flickering on to accompany the footsteps. As the sounds drew closer, a cold shiver raced down my spine. Then came the chilling part. Amidst the footsteps, I could discern the soft, eerie giggles of what seemed to be little girls. Their laughter echoed through the house, sending my heart into a frenzied panic. The noises intensified as if someone or something was attempting to open our door. In a state of sheer terror, I was rooted to the spot, unsure of what to do. I prayed fervently, hoping for some semblance of protection from whatever inexplicable force seemed to be lurking in the darkness. As suddenly as the noises began, the house plunged into an eerie silence. When my husband returned, I recounted the spine-tingling experience to him, hoping for reassurance or a logical explanation. However, his response was dismissive, attributing it to my overactive imagination. But I couldn't shake off the sense of dread that had settled within me. Determined to unravel the mystery, I delved into the history of the house. What I discovered sent chills down my spine. Our home was known for its eerie past, tales of paranormal activities, and inexplicable encounters that others had experienced within its walls. The realization that what I had heard and felt wasn't a product of an overactive mind, but potentially something beyond the realm of normalcy, struck me with a paralyzing fear. The knowledge that I might have encountered something from a world beyond our own left me with a haunting unease, especially considering my vulnerable state during that unnerving night. To this day, the memory lingers, a chilling reminder that some experiences defy logic and leave an indelible mark on one's soul.